Well, a federal judge in San Francisco has ruled that President Trump cannot deny asylum to immigrants who cross the border illegally. The judge made the ruling overnight, saying that the president, quote, may not rewrite the immigration laws to impose a condition that Congress has expressly forbidden.
The ruling follows a proclamation President Trump issued earlier this month saying anyone who doesn't go to a U.S. port of entry would be ineligible for asylum. CBS News Washington correspondent Paula Reid is here in New York City with us and joins us to talk about all this. Good to see you.
Good to see you, too. Happy to be here.
So explain what this ruling means.
Right now, if you want to seek asylum in the U.S., you touch U.S. soil, you say, I want to seek asylum, and you are protected from deportation proceedings. And you are entitled to a certain process where you need to establish that you are indeed entitled to asylum. But over the past 5 years, we've seen about a threefold increase in the number of asylum cases. The president, his supporters, they argue that the system is being abused. People realize if they come here, they claim asylum, they can pretty much oftentimes stay here unless they go through the process and are subsequently deported. But other people argue, look at where these people are coming from. Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador. There's enough violence there that a lot of people can make a legitimate case for persecution. So here the president is trying to limit the number of people who are coming here illegally, deter people once again by saying you can only seek asylum if you come to a port of entry, which obviously is pretty limited in terms of where you can go.
Especially when they're shutting down ports of entry.
Exactly. Very busy border crossings are being shut down. But the judge said, look, you can't do that. That's up to Congress.
So what does this do for the president's agenda? We've had the travel ban struck down. We've had the separation of children from their parents at the border struck down. And now this.
Well, we've seen this before, right? The president puts forth a pretty aggressive immigration executive order or executive action, and the courts kick it back. And it's probably not a coincidence that this happened in California, the infamous Ninth Circuit, and the various insults that he likes to lob at that particular circuit. They tend to take these cases over there because they know they'll have judges that could potentially be more friendly. Ultimately, it would be up to the Supreme Court to likely decide this specific issue on asylum. But the president will probably continue to do this. We saw on the travel ban, for example. It took him a couple of revisions, but finally he got one that he could squeak through the courts. And while he's been shot down on other things, look, he's not the first president who's been frustrated by Congress's inability to do anything on immigration, tried to do some things through executive action with some success.
Yeah,
right.
Some success. I mean, but this is only a temporary order. So you and a lot of other analysts believe that the president's going to keep coming back to the trial.
Absolutely. I think he'll probably revise this a little bit, or he can try to push it all the way to the Supreme Court to see if they'll take a more expansive view of his authority. But asylum, it is pretty clear that he would likely need to go through Congress if he wanted to restrict it to this extent. But the election's coming up and in 2 years, and we see illegal border crossings are creeping up again. They went down at the beginning of his administration, but he needs to deliver on that campaign promise that he was able to deter people from coming here. So it will be interesting to see. It's anyone's guess what he does next to try to deter people from coming here illegally.
Paula, I know you're always reporting. I saw an email from you earlier before we came on the air. Mark Whitaker is going to be here in New York City. What's he expected to do here? He's
going to give remarks to the Joint Terrorism Task Force, sort of bread and butter, attorney general kind of stuff. But we haven't seen him too many times. We've seen him speak publicly once, maybe I think twice actually, in his home state of Iowa. But otherwise, he has not taken questions from the press yet. No press conference.
Maybe Paula will be there at this Joint Terrorism Task Force event.
But yeah, I think that it's just a rare public appearance for him. Obviously, there's been a lot of legal challenges to his legitimacy as the Attorney General, so he'll speak to the Joint Terrorism Task Force, but we're still waiting to get the opportunity to ask him some questions about his appointment and, of course, his oversight of the Russia probe.
I did see a report, I believe it was in Politico, that the lawyers for Robert Mueller have said that their scope has not at all diminished in the wake of his appointment, Whitaker's appointment.
That's true. They did. In a filing that's sort of challenging the legitimacy of the Mueller probe. It's been going on for quite some time. They said that, but what else are they going to say? Are they going to pick a fight with Matthew Whitaker? Look, there's no indication that Whitaker is going to recuse from the special counsel investigation. His supporters, though, they argue, they say, look, Rod Rosenstein, he was a witness in this case. He is a witness in the obstruction of justice aspect of this case, and he was still able to oversee it. So why shouldn't Whitaker, just because he expressed some skepticism, they say, on cable news before his appointment? I don't see a strong case right now for him to have to recuse himself from the Russia probe. I think his oversight of that will continue. There are, though, mounting legal challenges to his appointment as acting attorney general without Senate confirmation. And that, I think, is a bigger question in terms of his future at the Justice Department.
To be continued.
Yeah.
Paula Reid, always great to have you here. We're anchoring together later this week. Looking forward to that.
Likewise.